Today is the International Day for Support of Victims of Torture. After the 1945 Charter of the United Nations, this day became instituted as a day to commemorate those who have survived torture and to give solidarity with them. It is so profound that in the country of Bosnia and Herzegovina today, since 2009, this day has become a national holiday. And that is because the torture that was meted out to the Bosnian Muslims during the period that they had the Bosnian War. In current times, in the war on terrorism, we have seen repeatedly how attempts to seek accountability from countries that were the prime movers in the war on terrorism and the operators who were involved in torture have avoided any scrutiny at all. As CAGE, we have engaged in repeated processes, and I've only come to one conclusion as a result of that. But let me just tell you what those processes have been. First of all, the former Guantanamo prisoners took part in litigation against the British government for complicity in torture. That ended in a settlement, but that settlement's conditions also included that a government inquiry would be launched into allegations of torture. That judge-led inquiry eventually ended into nothing and was handed over to the Intelligence and Security Committee, which in itself said that Britain had been involved in torture, but there were no recommendations for any prosecutions at all. There have also been unprecedented criminal investigations through Operation Hinton and Operation Iden by the Metropolitan Police of British involvement in torture. These police officers spoke to me right here in the CAGE offices. They spoke to other former prisoners. They went all the way to Libya. They went to Guantanamo. And once again, the buck stopped with the British leadership, with the establishment. They couldn't get enough cooperations, and they wouldn't get enough cooperation from the United States of America. So once again, the investigations stopped. The United States itself launched an inquiry, a Senate report on torture by the CIA that was operated in the years following the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan. And again, despite the fact that there have been numerous cases of waterboarding in this medieval torture period, of rectal hydration, which is another name for rape, and the use of stress positions against at least 119 people mentioned in this torture report, guess what? Absolutely no prosecutions despite these evident war crimes. And it is important we understand that these are war crimes when used in the context of war. We've also seen now recently that the International Criminal Court attempted to prosecute or to begin prosecutions against three entities in Afghanistan: the United States military, the Taliban, and the Afghan National Army. Only one responded negatively, and that was the United States government. They threatened to prosecute and arrest members of the International Criminal Court if they attempted to seek prosecutions and were involved in any way trying to seek accountability against the United States of America. So one thing that I've learnt over this process of now almost over a decade is that no matter what process we've entered, whichever legal process we've entered, whether it's the criminal justice system, whether it's the litigation process through the civil justice system, whether it's through the International Criminal Court, or looking at governments to hold themselves to account, one thing we have seen, that there is no no meaningful attempt at all for Britain or the United States of America to hold themselves to account. The only thing that has happened have been that the governments of Canada have apologized for their role in the torture of people like Omar Khadr, Maher Arar, and others. And in the case of Britain, and only because they were caught red-handed with the documents in the headquarters of the Libyan intelligence that showed that British government agents were involved in the renditions of Abdul Hakim Bilhaj and his wife Fatima Bouchar, did Theresa May last year give an apology, but that was literally forced out of them through the courts, and nothing again in terms of prosecutions, no accountability. So on this day, the message I have for everybody is that no matter what we have attempted, these governments have eluded accountability, and that is to their endless shame.